Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning.
Sorry, something just happened. Give me a half second. I'll be right back.
And good evening to those who are over in the south, because, and welcome.
Hello,
This is
everybody. Sorry.
Oh, hi. Hello. We've got Annie from our Urban Homestead. She's in. We've got Teresa Jukiewicz. Hello. And Crispy Country Cooking. Hello, my darling. How are you?
You said TJ's name right.
I did. It's taken me a while to get it, but I've got it. I've got it.
I've seen some people slaughter her name, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I do try to get it right.
Hey, you know what?
Wow.
It's not important, though. She knows who we're talking about.
Yes, and she knows we love her anyway.
Yes.
Yes. I'm really good, thank you, Crispy Crunchy Cooking. I'm really, really good. Thank you.
I like that name.
It is a great name, and it's a great channel as well. So, guys, go and give her a follow, because honestly, it's great food. Great recipes. Love it. So, yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of not important and a stress-free Christmas or whatever it is that you are celebrating.
Should we explain what we mean by that? Or would you like me to?
You can explain it, because my voice has just gone crack.
Okay. Thank you, Crispy Crunchy Cooking. I just subbed you, by the way.
Hey.
There's a lot of things when you celebrate this holiday the way most people do, we tend to put importance on certain things.
Yes.
Not all those things are important.
Yes.
And so there's an importance of what's important, not what's not important. Exactly. Now, I know that's confusing and it's double talk and all that. I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
But we need to lessen the stress on ourselves, make sure what is important is our priority, not what's not important. And
absolutely.
Individually, especially those that are the primary cooks in their house, the primary present getter, the primary organizer, the primary cleaner, you need to think about yourself too. Because if you're not functioning correctly, none of the important stuff that is important will be important.
Absolutely. Yes. And far out. Sorry about that. So, as you guys know, for the last couple of weeks, I've been struggling, and I've been struggling a lot because I've been ill, and I got myself a virus, and it turns out that virus is COVID. It's yeah. So, but as it is, I'm still doing my best, but it has meant that what I'd planned to do for Vlogmas hasn't happened, because this particular bout has been incredibly nasty. And Tanny got sick on Saturday, was forced to go to work on Monday morning, because if he hadn't have personally handed in his timesheet, we wouldn't have got paid until January, the end of January. So he had to go to work even though he was incredibly unwell. He's been at work all week because he's had to train somebody, because he's taking 2 weeks off after tomorrow. From tomorrow, he'll be taking 2 weeks off after he finishes his shift tomorrow. So, you know, he's had to do all of that. So that was, to him, was important because it meant that people still got the medication. They because over this time, you know, everyone wants to get their meds in, they want to get the prescriptions filled and all that kind of stuff. And he takes it on as a personal thing that he has to do, you know, and that's okay. That's a him thing. But of course, you know, I'm left without an extra pair of hands, and because by the time he gets home, he's wrecked.
Literally.
My son, he's been asked to stay behind at work the days that he was supposed to come around and help me. So when he was expecting to do just a very short 5-hour shift, he ended up doing a 14-hour shift. So, you know, the next morning when he said he'd be here on his way to work, he wasn't able to because he slept, you know. So there's only so much that I can do, you know, and as much as and Tony will attest to this, you know, I've had big long lists of things that I have to do, but I've only been able to do 1 or 2 things a day because, you know, and today I managed to finish off one of those things, and that was all I've done because I've been babysitting my grandson, who you may hear in the background at some point. And he may escape and actually come in here, which is cool. So,
again, it really goes back to
what's
the importance of importance.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and as much as I have a load of things that I do need to do, you know, we didn't get paid until today. So everything I had to do up until now had to be done with things that we had in the house. We couldn't go and do a big shop and get all the fancy things and all that kind of stuff because, well, we just didn't have the money to do it, you know? So it's been about looking for ways of doing everything with what we already have. And we actually have quite a good stock because I make sure that during the year, I slowly stock up with things as I can afford them, which is something that we've talked about quite a lot, which is just like putting $5 aside a week and stocking your pantry that way, and doing it that way. And yes, it's taken several years to get to this point. It's taken about 5 years to get to this point, but it's worth it in the end because now, you know, when we go and do the shopping tomorrow, I don't have to get as much as I probably would have if I hadn't have done that, you know. So our shopping budget is probably going to be, I don't know, maybe 50 quid just to get little bits and bats, you know.
That's the benefit of that reward. I mean, really,
absolutely, it is the benefit of that reward, and that's what's important, you know. My sister, who shops at a very specific supermarket, she gets coupons and saves them during the year because she gets a certain amount of points every time she goes and shops and all of this kind of thing. So when she went and did the Christmas shopping, she had £67 worth of these coupons to use. So her Christmas food shopping only cost her £24.
Ooh, now that's a bonus.
Now that's pretty good going. And she had to go and get the turkey and all of those bits and pieces and all of the expensive stuff. But it was like, okay, but you know, she's done it her way, which is, so, you know, and Annette says, I aim to do better with stocking my pantry next year. And you'll get there. And it's as long as you don't put the pressure on yourself. If you pressure yourself and put pressure on yourself to do it all in one hit, you're going to cause more stress than you need to.
I am a huge proponent of stocking your shelves. But I'm here to tell you, and I know Blue can attest to it, and Patty, my wife, can attest to it. Our pantry's been annihilated just because things are the way they are right now. And so nobody wants to go look at my pantry because it needs to stock up really bad. But it's it was there to serve its purpose.
Yes.
And now as I just rebuild that so that in the future, when it needs to be there to refill its purpose, it'll be fine.
Yes.
But I'm not going to stress out over it.
No, absolutely not. I mean, Annette's just said, I will do it fortnightly and set a budget of $10 fortnight was exactly it. That's $5 a week.
Yep.
$5 a week. That's all you need. And what I normally do is I will save those £5 a week for every 3 months. And that's when I will go to the wholesalers. And I think I've spoken about this wholesalers that I used before. They're an online fault. I've got their newsletter comes into me every week, and they have offers every week. You know, you spend this amount, then you get an extra thing if you use their code. And because you're spending over £20-30, because you're doing that, you get free shipping. Well, between the item and the free shipping, you've already saved yourself something like £40-50, which is a huge saving.
Yep.
You know, yes, you're spending £40 to £60 to do that, but you've saved a huge amount. You know, and that's how I do mine. I do it that way, or I find things that, you know, other cheap food places. There's quite a few that have popped up over here that are things like Discount Dragon, Approved Food, places like that have short dated dry store pantry items, you know, tin foods, etc., or test products, you know, when they test new flavors and things like that. So that's when I do shops from them. You know, if they've got things that we would use, I will buy a certain amount from each one. Approved Food, I tend to only use within the 3 months towards Christmas, because they tend to have a lot of sweets and chocolates and things, which will help with the baking. But I don't want to pay full whack for them, because who wants to pay full whack at Christmas for a bunch of sweets? You know, I got so much last year that we hadn't used that I found a box of them underneath the bed last week.
Wow.
That was still there, you know, and we went through them, and the hard sweets, you know, things like that we chucked, you know, but things like the chocolate and stuff were still okay.
Right.
So that's a whole heap of stuff that I don't need to buy again. You know, yes, I have put in an order, but I didn't put a lot of chocolate in, because I had it in my mind, I'm sure we've got a lot of chocolate stashed somewhere. And I was right. We did. I just didn't know where it was.
Well, there's that too.
So, yeah, but.
Well, and I think, you know, the other thing that goes along with it, I think when you get to, especially this point in the holiday game we're in right now with 3 days to go. Yeah. 3 days you kind of, for the most part, should put yourself in a position of, I've done what I could.
Absolutely.
So,
you know, I mean, thankfully, we're not doing Christmas on Christmas Day. We're doing it on Boxing Day, right? So that actually gives me another day. But I plan on having everything done by then, so that my Christmas Day I can spend on the couch with my feet up. We've already decided we're going to use some of the steaks that we bought the sirloins for earlier this year. We're going to do that. We're going to have homemade onion rings. We're going to do breaded mushrooms. We're going to do all of the really nice, you know, triple cooked chips, all of that kind of stuff, you know, all of the really good sides that you get with steak, and just do that.
Right.
Because we don't want a turkey this year. We really don't. I mean, normally at this time of the year, we'll buy a joint of everything, and that will do us for the year. Because I make meals and everything. As if you have a look in my ideas for Christmas playlist, there is a set of videos from last year or earlier this year where I made, literally from the leftovers from Christmas, I made 16 weeks worth of meals. 16 weeks worth of meals out of what we had in the fridge. and leftovers from like the meats and stuff. But although we didn't end up eating them every single day, our last one we used about 3 weeks ago.
But again, it was there for you to do that. It was
there for us to be able to do that. And that's the point, is that we buy so much stuff that we don't actually need at this time of the year. We buy all of this stuff and we think, oh, yeah, well, we need this and we need that and we need all of the other things. But do we actually need them, or do we just want them? Are they going to help us in the long term? Or are they just stuff that's going to add added stress to us because we've got all of this stuff and we're overwhelmed with how much we've got, And to me, it's we do with what we have, and the rest, is it important? Really, no.
Right.
Really, no. It's not.
No,
really.
I get it. It's not,
because what's really important to me is spending time with my family.
Yep. And in the end, that's what we're talking about is, that's important,
Yeah. I mean, I spent an hour this afternoon with my I've spent quite a few hours with my grandson today because my Danny's daughter is working now, but I spent a whole hour with him having a pillow fight with a 3-year-old. I'm dopamine up here at this point, and that to me is priceless. That to me is absolutely priceless. As someone with ADHD who doesn't have a very high dopamine level, that to me is priceless because I've got to spend that time with him. He's had an absolute.
You've actually bloody worked for once. Jesus Christ.
Hi, honey. Welcome home. Hope you had a good day.
And there's Tanny.
And there's Tanny.
That was funny.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, these are the things that are important.
Mm-hmm.
Who won? He won. This arm is the size of Arnie's arm, and this one's about to wither away because it's just like a one-handed thing where he's like lying on the couch, and I'm just plopping the pillow on him and just going, and then he's kicking the pillow back at me, going, and that's all it was for an hour.
That's
and
funny.
You know what? Best afternoon ever. Afternoon ever. I wouldn't have given it up for the world. The baking can wait.
Right.
If it means that I've got to stay up really late one night and finish up, then I'll stay up late and finish up really late one night, and that doesn't bother me.
Right.
I'll do it that way, or I'll do it the other way where I sleep and then I'll be up at 2:00 anyway, so I may as well just get stuck into it then. And
not that that's never happened before, right?
No, not that's not a normal thing, So, I would much rather spend those hours, hanging out with my grandson, having the time of our lives,
and that's
just
good.
knocking about and having a laugh, because those moments are precious and they're gone before you can even blink, So, yeah. Right. Treats has just said, I'm waiting for the turkeys to go on sale after Christmas. Our ham that we've got, we bought in January last year in the sales. It was marked at something like 50 quid because it already had it's still a label on it. It was marked at 50 quid. We got it for 25. Straight in the freezer.
Yeah.
We're saving that for Christmas. And there have been a couple of times when things have been a little bit tight this year that we've turned around and gone, oh, we could bring out the ham.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to save it. And I'm really glad we did, because at the end of the day, we've ended up in a situation where have a really tight budget on things this year. So, you know,
we lucked out when we got a week and a half ago, maybe what it was, 100 pounds of turkey for $40.
Wow.
I wasn't turning that down.
No, you can't turn that down.
No.
Offers like that you can't turn down. See, the other thing with saving like $5 a week is that when these offers come up, you've got the money there to do it.
Well, and that's really what it comes down to. It was because on my channel we do the $40 food pantry challenge, and I had to go get stuff that popped up, and I'm like, kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's why I always say, you know, it's great to have your £5 a week to do that, but you don't need to spend it every week.
No.
Put it aside. Wait and see what you want.
Right.
Have a list of the things that you want to have and then do it, you know, when those things come up, because you might get a tray of, I don't know, canned tuna for $2.99, which is what we've ended up doing several occasions now. You know, when we pop into the right place, you know, we'll get like 12 cans for $2.99. Well, you can't go past that.
And he makes a point here, Christmas is commercialized now, which I don't disagree with her. That's not what my point is.
It is, and so is, and that's been my point all this year. You know,
my thing is it has been since I can remember. I remember back when I was a little kid, and my mom and my grandma and my grandpa were. It's commercialized. It's all about buying, and which it is. I get it. Okay. The trade-off to it is make the traditions and the habits and the beliefs and the things that you and your family can do that become what you do. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have presents. Yeah, we have a meal, but that's part of what we do. Okay. Yeah. Don't let it become here we go again. Gonna go spend all this money for absolutely no reason. When in the end of it, there is a reason behind it. And the time you get to spend with your friends and family, there's a trade-off. So
but there's also the point of, instead of looking to buy all the stuff that the supermarkets and places are asking you to buy, telling you to buy, you know, use them as inspiration to make your own.
I've just got him a caterpillar cake.
Yeah.
And he's cut a big chunk off, and it's not that thick, and he's put it on a spoon. Honestly, bless him. That's right.
Okay.
So to go over where you were, I agree with you 100%. Take inspiration from it.
Yes.
But the reality is again, it's what you let it become.
Yes.
You some of it you have to let commercialize. Some of it you can and change so it isn't. And instead of spending $40 on a tray of something that's going to be gone in 10 seconds, why not spend half the amount of money, triple the amount you have, and then everybody gets to enjoy it, and you haven't spent or stressed yourself out.
Exactly right. You know, I mean, like, probably 90% of what we're making for Christmas, for Boxing Day and Christmas, etc., is all stuff that we've got in the house.
Right.
It's stuff that I've adapted so that we can do that.
Right.
You know? So things like making the chicken nuggets. I saw these reindeer-shaped ones in the supermarkets, in the Christmas food catalogs, right? You get 8. They're the size of the ones you get in McDonald's, right? 8 of them, shaped like a reindeer, the size of a chicken nugget from McDonald's, for £4.50. £4.50.
Well, see, you know how they sell that. Here's the problem with that. If you think about it, if you just go in and get just a small order, at least here in the US, it's a 6-piece and you're spending $4. Look, you can get 2 more for the same price here.
Oh, they're shaped like reindeer. But what I did was that I used, we got some cheap chicken drumsticks a couple of weeks ago. We found them for £3.39 for 2 kilos at Aldi's, right? So I cooked those off in the chicken stock that I found in the freezer. I used the chicken stock that I had, about 4 liters of chicken stock, that I decided, do you know what? It's just taking up room in the freezer. Let's use that as our chicken stock base. Let's make it really condensed. And I did. That's what I did. I cooked those chicken drumsticks off in there first. Not till they were falling apart, but just so that you could peel the meat off. Put those in the food processor with 1 egg until they were like pasty, but still had a little bit of texture to them. And got my cookie cutters out. Okay. Proper size cookie cutters. This size cookie cutters, right? Okay. We've got Christmas trees. We've got gingerbread men. We've got snowflakes, and we've got candy canes. I made 21 of that size out of those chicken drumsticks. And I've just breaded them this morning.
Less price, 3 times as much, and they're bigger.
Yeah.
And we talked about this the other night. Technically, the size that you have, they could be considered double of what you would get from the other. So,
yeah. So it's like, well, what's it cost me? Nothing.
Right.
A little bit of time, but that's been over 3 days. That's not just been, me doing it all at once, because obviously once you do those and you make the shapes, you want to put them in the freezer, and then you want to get them fully solid so that you can crumb them properly and then get them back in the freezer, and then you can bag them up. But you can do that at any time of the year. You get cheap chicken or cheap whatever meat it is that you're using to make your nuggets with. You can do whatever shapes you want.
Right.
Do whatever shapes you want with whatever size cookie cutters you've got. If you've only got circular ones, just use the circular ones. Does it matter? No. But, it probably took me, 40 minutes from go to roll, with making them. And 15 minutes to crumb them this morning.
And that's good.
That's nothing.
Right.
And it's just finding those little moments where you could do one little thing or one little part of a thing, rather than going, oh no, but I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to do something else. A lot of it's to do with planning, really.
Yep.
And getting on top of things that way by planning out what you're going to do, One of the things that I want to do this year is show people that, you can plan a pantry and plan your everything else by doing one job a day. And I'm going to do a 365-day challenge for myself, which will be a series of shorts that is one job a day. Whether that's something I do in the garden, whether it's something I do in the house, whether it's cooking, whether it's, organizing the pantry, whether it's whatever, but it's one job a day.
I don't want to see your shorts, Blue.
If I'm in shorts, there's a problem. That's all I'm saying.
But
but Teresa said she doesn't eat pork. I get that. A lot of people don't eat pork, but it's the same principle with anything. Whatever you find that's on offer at the time that you want it, that's the time to get it, because it's the important thing to do. One thing that has really upset me, and I've put a post up about it, is because of the supermarkets putting the Christmas veg on offer. You've got people in Facebook preserving groups who are going and spending 50 quid on this stuff. Well, that's, you know, £1 you can get 5 bags. So you can imagine what they're getting for 50 quid. They're literally stripping off the shelves. Now, that's what we saw during lockdown. And that's when we saw elderly people standing at the shelves in tears because they couldn't even buy tea bags. They couldn't buy bread. They couldn't buy any of the basic essentials. They can't afford to go and spend hundreds of pounds all at once. They're living pension to pension.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who are doing that. And like I said, there's a lot of people, a huge portion of the country that was only getting paid today.
Right.
Now that's a week before you normally get paid. So now that pay has to stretch over 5 weeks.
5 weeks, yeah.
You know, not just 4 weeks, it's got to stretch over 5 weeks. So that already puts you in issues, you know, which nobody wants to have happen.
No.
But it's these people that, to me, that's not stocking up, that's hoarding. That's the difference.
Because you sit there and think about that, and I was just doing the math. That's 250 bags.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. With captions like, guess what I'm doing for the next 2 days? And it's like, I don't know. Are you going to take it back to the store and not be an asshole? That's the nicest word I can use right now.
I know. I can just hear you, what you want to say. Oh.
You know, but at a time when we've got a third of the country living in poverty and 15% of them in destitution, which means that they can't afford to meet their basic needs and necessities of life. And you've got people out there that are buying 50 quid's worth, like 250 bags, and stripping the shelves and taking advantage of the one thing that's actually a lifeline for people who want to feed themselves and just feed themselves.
Right.
You know? And I just think, what is wrong with people? How did we get to this? You know?
And the unfortunate part is that, I mean, the reality is to be able to do that. Here's two sides of a coin. Hello, Helena.
Hi,
Helena. Excuse me. To be able to do that's great for your food pantry setup. Okay, I get that. Okay. But then I guess I would look at it this way. If I walked into the store and there was, I'd be shocked if there was 250 bags of anything in any store I went into. Number one. Number two, and I remember doing this during lockdown. We'd go look, and if there was 4 of an item, and I knew it was something I was going to eat or use, not eat.
Yeah.
We would take 2 of them because we knew there may be a shortage moving forward.
Yes.
That didn't mean we were cleaning the shelf off either. And, you know, usually there'd be a post, we're expecting a delivery tonight. We should have more of this product out tomorrow. You know, so you would get that idea. Okay, so if I take 2, there's still 2 and they should have more tomorrow. It's not that big of a deal. Now, if you get in there and there's one of something and I'm the one, the lucky one to stand in front of it, I'm taking it. That's what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely. You know, and that's a very different situation. What this is people taking advantage of a situation that is supposed to be a lifeline for those who can't afford to actually eat at the moment.
Right.
Okay. And instead of, see, if it was me and I was thinking, you know what, actually, these are really good prices, what we were going to do was just spend £1 on each item. So we got 5 bags of each. I don't think that that's unreasonable.
No.
I think that gives us enough to preserve it. It gives us enough to feed for ourselves. You know, it gives us enough to do that. But if I really wanted to go hammer and tongs at it, I would go to the supermarket first thing on Boxing Day. The day after Christmas, because they're going to mark down everything anyway.
Right.
Everything's going to be marked down. So get your stuff then.
Hello, Hugo.
You want to stock up to it then. Hi, Hugo Homestead. How you doing?
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Better chat. So Annie says, that's why I set myself a baking challenge for next year. I want to improve my baking skills, so I will bake a new recipe every week. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Teresa says, I have to make peanut butter cookies. Woo!
I have to make more peanut butter cookies.
I just have to make cookies. Today was my baking day. Oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Oh, well. Things will get done as they get done. And if they don't get done, well, oh, well. It's not, to me, it's not a life-ending situation. No. Do you know what I mean? So I made pie fillings yesterday. That's all I did. That's all I managed to do. It seemed like everyone in the world wanted to talk to me. So that's what I'm going to, if they needed to talk to me, I'm going to talk to them,
Right.
Because that's the person that I am. And I mean, there's only certain people that I will stop the world for doing that if I'm busy. And it just happened that all day long, it was them. So,
people.
It was those people.
So don't be one of those people. No, I'm joking.
Yes, how dare you be part of my inner circle, and I love you and care about you.
Yes. Yes.
So, but I'm happy to put that time aside to do that, because I know that over the next few days, I'm not going to be able to do it anyway. Or if I am, I'm going to have to be on my phone, and they're going to have to be carried around the house with me while I'm doing stuff. Right. But it is what it is. So I managed to make 2 lots of pie fillings. Well, one of the supermarkets is selling mini party pies. Now, mini party pies over here are about the size of a mini muffin. So if you've seen a mini muffin tin, right? It's got 2 dozen holes in it.
Right.
They're the size of those, and they're selling 12, and they're £6 for 12. £6 for 12, right? So which means that you get less than a teaspoon of filling, and it's nearly all pastry, right? So you don't even get to taste it, really.
Well, let's be honest, does it really taste good would be the other thing I'd be considering.
Yeah, right. So we've got steaks in the house. I used 2 of those, and I made some beef and bacon and onion filling out of 1 lot, and out of the other lot I have some chicken tenders, the mini fillet that comes off the chicken.
Yeah,
I bought a 2.5 kilo bag of those when they were £9.99, so I grabbed a bag of those. So I used 10 of those to make a chicken and mushroom one.
There you go.
With some cream I had and some stock and all of that kind of stuff. I thickened it myself with my own flour, so they're ready to go. All I got to do is roll out the pastry, and I can put them in proper muffin tins and have decent party pies that people are actually going to taste what's in them. And I'm going to make, probably with the amount that I've got, I would say probably around 5 to 6 dozen.
Oh, wow.
I would say 3 dozen per box, easy. Because I've got about 2 liters of each, or 2 kilos, which is what? 2.2
pounds.
Yeah, so that's what, nearly 4 pounds
almost 4.5 pounds. Right.
4.5 pounds of each filling. So, why not make it yourself? I mean, yes, it would cost me this. It cost me the same as buying 2 of those packets of mini party pies to do the fillings and to do with the pastry.
Except you're getting how much out of it compared to
I'm getting loads out of it.
Yeah.
Hey, Nanny Tam, how you doing, darling?
Hello.
Yeah.
No, Annette, I don't understand the whole toilet paper thing from lockdown.
Yeah, clarify it. Not the toilet paper.
Yeah, the toilet paper thing. That was ridiculous. I understand that some people use like toilet paper as tissues as well, just in case kind of thing.
But at the end of the day, I was sitting there with Tani. We went to a different supermarket that is just usually, it's called Farm Foods. It still had their 3 for £12 offer, and each packet had like 48 rolls in it. And so we went and picked up one of those. That's it. Because everyone else was hitting the other supermarkets. This was a small one. No one was going near it. We picked up 3 of those. That did us. There's only me and Tanya at the end of the day. And if we had one out, I bought from eBay a B-Day attachment that attached to your cistern, right? Takes 20 minutes to put on your existing toilet and hook it up. So come a real emergency, we were sorted anyway for £8.
I love hello going slowly nowhere. I love that. That is hilarious.
I've got to show this one. The average human has one butt and one nose. 240 rolls of bog roll is overkill. It absolutely is, my darling.
Yeah.
It so is. It so is. You know, patty pies are expensive over there. That's why I started making them myself when the kids were little, because I wasn't going to buy them. Party pies in Australia are a big deal. Big deal. Okay, there's a couple of things when it comes to parties in Australia that have to occur, or you know, that are expected at parties. Party pies are one of them. Sausage rolls are another, and fairy bread.
I don't get the fairy thing, but okay.
Okay, so fairy bread. I
do if you have a little kid there. I get it then. But
it's got to happen. We're all someone's little kid, okay? Shush. Don't be wrong here. So fairy bread.
Oh, don't be wrong here. Is that what you just said?
Fairy bread came about during World War II. Fairy bread came about during World War II with the sugar ration and the sweet ration. Okay. Kids would use parents would use their sweet ration to go and get hundreds and thousands, because you would get literally hundreds and thousands, which are like the little tiny ball sprinkles. Okay. So because they couldn't afford to have the sugar and the eggs and the butter and everything, right? They bread and butter slices covered in these hundreds and thousands, and it's cut into triangles. That was major for parties, because it was just because you could get a couple of ounces of those, and you could do 2 or 3 loaves of bread with it.
Sprinkles and bread just doesn't sound like a very delicious thing for me.
But it's sweet and it's like cake, but it's fancy. But it's just basically bread and butter, but it's made fancy. But during the war and during rationing, that's what they had.
I'm not knocking it for the sense of when you got something in front of you to make it work. I get that. I'm all for that. I'm just saying it doesn't sound very interesting to me. It's kind of like what's that stuff? Vegemite doesn't sound appetizing to me. I'm being honest. Okay.
But see, that's the thing. No one seems to know how to use it properly outside of the countries that have grown up on it. They all seem to slather it on like jam. It ain't jam.
It isn't jam. No.
It really isn't jam.
I watched an Instagram reel one time, and they thought that's what it was going to be like. And they took a big old bite out of it, and it was like instantly. I was like,
you're going to get that. If you've never tried it before, it's always going to happen. Hi, Colin. How are you, darling?
Hello.
Come on. Annette says, I'm going to try and make some party pies with hot water crust pastry. Okay. So I would suggest this, Annette, to be honest. Hot water crust pastry is meant for cold pies. things like picnic pies, like pork pies, chicken and ham pies, things like that, rather than party pies. You can, because it's a structured pastry that can actually hold itself up. You don't actually have to have it in a mold, and it's just meant to be. It's basically what was used in the days of Sweeney Todd,
right,
for every pie, because that's the bakers didn't then have to have lots of tins and things. They could just create these pies, put the meat in, put the top on, and then when they came out, you poured in gelatin through the top. That was just to add a bit of something in there. So depending on what you have in your filling, it may work or it may not. But technically those pies were used that pastry because it was structured enough that it would hold if they were cold. Because hot water pastry is not really meant to be eaten hot. So just be aware of that. But, we can talk about that as well. So
just for clarification, I'm not here to irritate the three ladies that are talking to me about rations. I'm not knocking the ration part of it.
Yeah.
I'm knocking, it doesn't sound appetizing to me, part of it. I do get you deal with it when you don't have anything. I get that. I do.
Yeah.
I'm not in that situation right now, so I don't have to do bread and sprinkles on top of it, okay?
But it's become a thing because,
right.
That's what everybody had. And because it was a thing that came about during the war in Australia, when rationing was a thing, it's kind of lived on as a bit of a tradition.
Oh, no, I get that.
If you know what I mean.
Well, a lot of our traditional foods come from that thought process. So I get
absolutely.
That,
Yeah.
Oh, my shoulder's going.
And although it doesn't really taste like much except for maybe sugar on bread.
Right.
There's this kind of childhood awesomeness that you just kind of think, oh, actually, this is really kind of cool, and it hits your inner child.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm waving at Jasper Pudding Face through the tree.
Hey, Janine, how are you? Jasper Pudding Face is in the house. Nelly Tam says we were stationed in Nuremberg, Germany. We had to use ration cards in the commissary.
I get that. I do. We had to do our own version of it. It was something different, but I get that. I do. I'm just, all I was saying, it just didn't sound good. That's all I was saying.
But that's okay, because as well, as adults, we kind of, if it's not something you've had when you were a child, you don't have that connection to it, but everyone has their own thing,
Right.
Everyone has their own thing that reminds them of their childhood. Yours is going to be completely different to mine because we grew up in different countries, different parents and different cultures, so yours are going to be different to mine. Me, if I see a kid walking down the street with Marmite up their face, that gives me a smile to my face.
And I get that, yeah.
Because that's the kid who's had Marmite toast for breakfast, they've got their big Marmite smile,
I get it. I just ain't eating it. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's cool, and I see no problem with using, 50p's worth of hundreds and thousands just to put a couple of bits of fairy bread out just because, because it makes everybody smile.
Right. No, I get
they look at it and go,
it's a comfort food. It's a comfort food.
It's a comfort food. Yeah, exactly. But it's a very cheap one that, doesn't matter. Oh, Nanny Tam says I'll have to watch the beginning because I haven't a clue what I missed.
Oh, you haven't missed a lot other than the importance of important.
Yeah. So it's the importance of not important and being stress-free this Christmas and these holidays because, we put a lot of stress on ourselves and it's about really looking at what's important, really important.
Yeah.
Just because the shops say something is important doesn't mean it actually is. You know,
I look at it, I can surmise this whole thought process very easily. It's like when a kid sees a new toy on TV or walking by a shop and they have to have it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the reality is number one, it's usually way expensive.
Yeah.
There is no need to have it.
Yeah.
And for, again, back to the price, for the price you put out for that, you could have bought 10 other things, you know?
Yeah.
It really is that thought process. Yes, you feel something's important. You feel it needs to be done, but sometimes it isn't worth it, really.
No, it isn't. It really isn't, you know? And like I said, you know, it's a lot of these catalogs and stuff like that. Why not just use them as inspiration?
Right.
Rather than someone trying to batter you into buying something that you either, number one, can't really afford, or, you know, it's going to go to waste because no one's going to eat it.
Right.
You know, because I find a lot of that happening as well. People buy all this stuff and it's like, well, when are we going to use it? We're not going to use it. So it goes to waste.
Right.
And
which is not to be confused with getting something to try it out. That's different.
No, get something to try it out. If you want to do that and you've got the resources, do it. You know, but when I see people like, you know, certain supermarkets selling what they called their, it's a made to order service that does, and they've got the Christmas dinner sides, basically, all your veg. So it's got braised red cabbage, it's got Brussels sprouts with bacon and pancetta and chestnuts. They had maple butter parsnips, there was carrots, there was goose fat potatoes, and I sat there and I was adding it up in my head of how much it would cost to make, right? And they're selling that. And these can I just say that these serves were supposed to do 4 people, right? But the little packets of the
Renee
are that big.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a spoonful each.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you fed 4 people.
But you fed 4 people, but it's going to cost you $16 to do it. Excuse me?
Oh.
Are you kidding me? You're one of the supermarkets who's selling the cheap Christmas veg for 19p a bag, and you're charging people X amount for something that's made in a factory. They're going to have 2 lots of, if they're actually going to feed 4 people, 2 or 3 lots of. And it's ridiculous. It's like, what? Are you kidding me?
It's kind of funny that you said it that way, that it was made in a factory. I remember we used to go into this store we used to live by, and everybody they just raved about the bakery and the baked goods in there. And I'm like, okay, this is a chain. It's not that great, but okay, I'll go with it. And I went in there and I'm like, okay, so where's the baked goods? So I went and looked, and here's the difference. Okay. Most of this chain had its meat department, dairy department, fruits and vegetables, baked items or bakery. You'd have pharmacy, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is one of those stores where they cooked it elsewhere and shipped it in. There wasn't even a bakery in there. And it's like, you don't even know who's making it or when it was made, where it's coming from.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go that route, I'm going to walk 2 more blocks down the road to the bakery that's sitting right there, and I'll pay the money because I know it's fresh made, worth it. Odds are it probably tastes 100% better.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all stuck on this convenience thing. That's what I'm getting to. That was the whole point of that.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah. Renee from Pike Creek Farmers just popped in. Hello, darling. And she says, I love parsnips. Yeah, me too. I'm the only one in the house that'll eat them. So that's cool because I get them all to myself. But yeah, But yeah, we are stuck on this convenience thing. And I think we need to take a step back.
I agree.
I get it if you are a frontline worker. If you're a frontline worker who has like no time to do anything, because the only time you're going to get, you're basically having to take stuff into work to have for your Christmas dinner because you're not going to get it.
Right.
All right. So because you're a nurse, you're a doctor, you're emergency staff, you're whatever you are. Right. You know, I get it. I do get it that some people are going to do that. And I get it that some people have the resources to do it.
Right.
You know, but I also think that with a little bit of planning, you can actually still do it yourself and do it a lot cheaper and still be able to take the stuff into work, or still be able to, you know, put stuff together on whenever it is that you're going to have your Christmas. You know, it just takes a little bit of doing a little bit each day and just sticking it in the freezer or canning it or fermenting it or doing however you want to do it, you know.
Right. I agree with what Annette said. That's actually the point I was trying to make, was just that right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Coles supermarket here in Australia got into a heap of trouble by saying that some of their bread was baked fresh and stored. The loaves came from Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, you know, the thing is as well is like, you don't, just because it's tradition or expected tradition to do things a certain way, you shouldn't have to do it that way.
Right.
If that doesn't work for you, don't do it.
Yep.
You know, like for us for Christmas Day, like I said, we're not doing turkey. We're not doing a Christmas dinner. Because at the end of the day, it's only me, Tanny, and Bam.
Right.
You know, after Christmas, I have to go back on the liquid food. So I can't be eating a whole heap of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll be using whatever we have left over at the end of the festivities and things to be making meals and stuff and sides and whatever, and preserving it all and making sure that we don't waste anything.
Right.
Because Tanny still needs to eat.
Mm-hmm.
We got kids that come over and visit.
Yep.
So they need to eat. You know, so we still need to do the things. It's just how we're going to go about it is going to be different this year. You know, and
ask yourself,
okay. Yeah.
Is it really important?
Yeah. Is it really important to have that turkey in the middle of the table? Is it really? Is it?
Well, okay. No.
Is it though? You know, is it important?
It depends on your level of importance. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Is it important to spend 8 hours of your Christmas day where you could be enjoying your family in the kitchen? You know,
for me, it is, because I got to feed all those people. So
yeah, I know, I get that, but like I said, everyone's situation is different.
Yes.
You know, I mean, like we always used to make the we've always got to make. I always cook the meat 2 or 3 days in advance because, you know, I'm not doing it all on Christmas Day.
We used to.
You know.
How many?
See you later, Charlene. Merry Christmas, darling.
At Christmas, how many like side dishes and dishes? Probably 40.
Oh,
Easy. So
we had a lot of family.
Right. So when I first met Patty and her family and started doing the Christmas thing with them, it would be nothing to have 40, 50 dishes. I mean, I'm saying like sides and mains and all that sitting on the counter, because there was a ton of people, and something got stuck in my head, and I know Patty has the same problem.
Yeah.
We never learned how to cook for a small amount of people. We always learned the big group of people.
A small village, literally.
And so it has literally taken us years to slowly learn to downsize that amount because it's not like that anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, I would say up until just this last year, you strived for that. That was what you felt was important. And really, we got to a point and it was like, there's no need to have all this food. There's no need to cook all this stuff when 90% of it ends up back in the refrigerator because nobody ate it because there were so many things to pick from.
Exactly.
So even though we didn't intentionally sit down and say we're downsizing, we have downsized.
Yeah.
So now cooking a holiday meal is just cooking a holiday meal. It's not an extravagant buffet dinner that you're putting together, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I will never forget, and it keeps going around every now and again, that picture of there's a woman who's sitting there with this massive table where there's like 10 chairs around it and there's not 1 inch of space for anyone to actually eat at the table.
Right, right.
There's like 150 dishes on that table. It's groaning, you know, and they've probably got a massive family that's coming in for this. But it's like, I kind of look at that and I think, well, no one's going to be able to sit at the table.
Right.
Because there wasn't a square millimeter of space, you know, for anyone to have a seat. It just wasn't possible.
I get it.
You know, so it's like, as Nanny Tam says, it's a very personal thing, deciding what is important for you and your family and what isn't. And as life goes on and life takes different turns and stuff, you know, you've got to adapt for that. And things do change. I mean, like I used to feed 30, 40 people for Christmas Day every year. Yeah. Without fail. And that was our personal Christmas, you know. But I would also do breakfast, lunch, and dinner for everyone.
Yep.
You know,
and there's a flip side there too. You know, it used to be where you'd have breakfast, then you'd have to have either lunch or a snack, and then you'd have to have dinner. Yeah. And we've just made it where we do breakfast Christmas Day morning, and we do our dinner earlier in the afternoon. So there's no need for that other additional meal in the middle of the day.
Yeah, well, see, breakfast was only for those who were actually underneath the roof.
Right.
But I could have up to 25 people under my roof.
Yes.
You know,
my very first Christmas I spent with Patty's family, there were so many people. They were sleeping under the kitchen table, in the hallways. There was 45 people at her mom and dad's house my first Christmas. So, I mean, we definitely downsized from where we used to be.
Well, see, our main meal used to be dinner, which in the middle of the day. But all the meat was cooked beforehand. And when we were in Australia, it was all salads. It wasn't anything majorly cooked. It was just salads and the cold cooked meat and stuff like that. And then Christmas tea was seafood, which we'd done the 2-hour round trip to go to Sydney fish markets to go and pick up our order on Christmas morning to get back to start everything off.
Wow.
You know, so, you know, that's how we did it, you know, so it was seafood and salads and whatever was left over, the picky bits from lunch, really. So, Hugo Homestead says, I force all the food on the guests and make them take some home. Yeah, we do that too.
I seen that.
Yeah. My boyfriend was self-employed. He had a landscaping business. I could have the guys over the day after to eat. They would love it, and I would get rid of all the extra food. Yep, now I'm retired and just make cookies Christmas Eve to take to the fire and police stations. Awesome. It's just a thing. Everyone has their things to do. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, and it's what works for you. It does. It is. Nanny Tam says that they downsized theirs too. It was such a waste. So now we just have the basics.
Yep.
But yeah, see, I have major issue with food waste. And because I work with the people that I work with, it makes me cry. It actually makes me cry to see food wasted. because I know that there's people out there that could be using that food. So if we do have a big meal like that, I will always use the leftovers to make meals. So next week, because we're going to have to wrap this up shortly, because I can hear a young man getting quite
you're fine,
wanting food. So speaking of, so next week we're going to be talking about leftovers and what to do with them so that you don't waste all your leftovers. De-stressing, you know. Yeah.
All right.
Not this year, but next year. I've been talking to Tony about doing a Christmas leftovers collaboration.
You have? So, I don't remember that.
You know, maybe you should wake up.
Maybe you're probably right.
So, you know, so we'll have a look at that for next year, but it's not something that I want to talk about too much right now. But yeah, but what I do want to say is this: tomorrow will be my last live before Christmas, and I will be on Tony's channel over there, and that's at 4 a.m. GMT, which is whatever it is on his
8 p.m. PDT.
Yeah, whatever that means. It just sounds like
Pacific Daylight Time. Yeah, I say the same thing about you. GMT, what is that? I love the one you used to have, the BST, British Summertime. Who the heck calls it British Summertime? Oh, the British.
Yeah, no, it is what it is, right? So I would like to thank all of you guys personally from the bottom of my heart for all your support this year. I am trying to get a video together for Christmas Eve, which will be showing everything that I've done this week. So it's going to be quite a long one. So if you have nothing better to do over the Christmas, you'll be able to watch it because it's going to be quite long. So I just wanted to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. Have a very safe holiday season and look after yourselves. Bam and I will also be putting out a video which is our little Christmas message to everybody, and it's a mental health one, so just be looking out for that as well. And we will see you after the lunacy is over, but just take care. Everybody. Love you guys. Hate. See you later.
Bye.